We ask every founder to share with us how they made $1 million, raised $1 million, or exited for $1 million. So Vic, which of those is relevant to you?
It's a hat trick, I'm afraid. I've done all three.
I think that's a first for us to have that. That's kind of impressive. Can you talk to us a bit about that?
Absolutely. So I'm a third-time founder, second-time tech founder. I ran a creative agency for 11 years. And then in 2015, I co-founded my first tech startup, a company called Phrasee. So back in 2015, if you can imagine this, Brit is way before anyone knew what a language model was or ChatGPT was about. We were building language models on a brand-to-brand basis. So you would have experienced our tech without even knowing, because we were generating and optimizing short-form marketing language. So if you received emails or push notifications from massive global brands like eBay, Facebook, Netflix, Sephora, Marks and Spencer's, Hilton, Virgin, they were all using our tech to write the language that appeared on your phone or in your inbox.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
See, I know Vic quite well, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then what happened? So you got snapped up, did you? Or did you go and find a buyer? Or?
No, so I went through several rounds of funding. So very different beast of a business, because that was B2B SaaS. Raised just under 5 million and then had a very big exit in 2022. So yeah.
Seem very happy with that,
Well,
obviously.
that was, yeah. I mean, I made my investors very happy. So we talk about 33x, but actually the ones that came in very, very early got a 66x return because they came in via SEIS. And that included a couple of my angels, one of them for 12,500, got 900,000 tax-free. And another one for their 40,000 got 3.5 million tax-free.
And was that a female-founded team or mixed?
Mixed. So I had 2 co-founders who are men. Yeah. Yeah. But by the time we exited, so I had like 80% of my revenue. So I was chief revenue officer. So I owned like the sales and marketing engine, partnerships and customer success. And by the time we exited, I had most of the revenue coming in from the US. But yeah, it was me owning all of that.
And yeah, that is amazing, Beck. And did you decide you wanted to exit? Because actually, so I've exited some businesses, some, better than others, but I think we were so desperate to sell one of ours that we're just like, we'll take anything one time. And then another time we got approached and it was very different. Like when you get approached by someone who wants to buy you, it's very different to going to find a buyer, I think, the deal you get. So how did that work?
So this is really interesting because I think a lot of people go, oh, well, you've just got to build the right business. But I've got to be honest, I started and co-founded that business to exit it. Like I knew where I wanted to get to. I had no, I mustn't swear.
You can.
No fucking idea what I was doing at that point, but I knew that I wanted to exit. And I think what's really, really important at every point, if you're trying to build a business to sell at some point, you've got to understand what those different stages are and what needs to be done, not just what the transition that you've got to go through as an entrepreneur, but actually what you need to do from an infrastructure basis to build a business that is sellable, because not every business is sellable, and I knew that we had our first offer, I think about 4 years into it. And I'd actually bought and made friends with, so an old school friend that I grew up with, a gentleman called James Kesner, was working for an M&A firm. And we started talking when I shut that down to start Phrasee. And he introduced me to the contacts within Results International to say, and I just became friends with them really from day one. And I would go to them and say, we've got this now, we've got this opportunity, what do you think? And actually for me, the sweet spot that I knew that where we needed to get to was once you hit this is B2B SaaS, by the way, so it's a very different beast to other businesses. But once you hit the 10 million annual recurring revenue, that's the sweet spot. You've got through product market fit, you've built the sales and marketing engine, you've built then a repeatable business that you know how to do it and how to grow that engine. So that's what I had my eyes on the prize. But yeah, sorry.
No.
I'm a chatter. I've got many words. You must cut me off if I talk too much. But yeah, we had our first offer in 2020, I think it was. And we held off because we were like, it's not right yet. We haven't worked all of this out. And actually by holding on for 2 more years, our valuation quadrupled. So it was worth
Wow.
it. Yeah.
Amazing. I think everyone in this room probably wants to exit their business
Well, I don't know actually. So I was, but
really?
well, let's put your hands up. Who wants to exit? Yeah, because not everyone wants to exit. Some people are wanting a business that,
Oh, like a lifestyle business.
yeah, which is also great. Like, I don't necessarily want to exit FFR. I think also there's lots of businesses that you can't exit. If you're a solopreneur or consultant and you're running a consultancy business, it's you. So I would say,
Very good point. Very good point.
yeah, not everyone wants to, but quite a few people do. And obviously, the money is a nice thing. It's mega stressful though, isn't it?
So what would be just one piece of advice to someone who does want to exit? What should they be doing now to position themselves?
Well, that's a good question. I would surround. So one of my biggest tips for any entrepreneur is to always have a mentor. And this is very different to a coach, but I always had somebody within my industry who had been there and done it, but was about 4 or 5 stages ahead of me. So knew all the pitfalls that I was going through.
And are you paying them, or are they doing it because they love you?
They're doing it because they love me, and I bully them into it.
Okay, so find someone who loves you, who loves your idea, and who is a couple of steps ahead of you. And I think it's, yeah. So in your first business, you made $1 million, raised $1 million, exited for $1 million, and then you had what, 6 months off before you decided to go again?
Well, yeah. So it was a really weird. It was a bittersweet sell, because it was one of those things where I'd had my second child the year that I co-founded Phrasee. So I'd done it all with 2 children, small children. And because then I'd done so much traveling, so like to shift revenue to the US, it's really hard. And we messed up a couple of times. That was one of my big learnings, I would say. And so by the time we exited, I'd been flying backwards and forwards. I'd been saved a little bit by COVID because no one could fly. But that bit was even more tense. I was spending like 16 hours a day in this tiny box office. And then I think just by the end of it, I was just absolutely exhausted. I've never been so tired in all my life. And it was a bit of a bittersweet as well, because my mom had also just been diagnosed with cancer. And so the day the deal went through, we found out about that. And the day that the money landed in my bank, she had her first chemo. So it was all a bit much, I think. And I think it had also broken me going through a process. And so I was like, right, I'm going to have some time off to be with my family. That was pretty short-lived, because they had enough of me and I'd had enough of them, and I realised that I wasn't a stay-at-home mum. I don't cook, I can't bake, and my husband does everything. And I was like, actually, I'm going to get back out there. And so then I thought, right, I'm going to build a portfolio career. So I started doing sort of non-exec director advisory roles, and I started angel investing. So having seen how rich I'd made all of my angels, I was like, I want a bit of that. I was the one that did all the bloody work, and then they've got a bank full. So I've done about 50 angel investments as well.
Oh, that's amazing. I think that's what is super interesting. Both our guests tonight are angel investors and founders, and I think you learn so much from being on both sides of the table. I didn't know you'd done 50. That's a lot, Vic.
I know, I need to stop.
It's addictive. It's addictive. Angel investing is addictive because you meet all these amazing women. So did we discuss what your biggest mistake was building Phrasee?
I think it was expanding into the US too quickly. So you think, oh, I had eBay at that point who we were working with globally, and I was like, right, they're based there and we should open an office. And that was the biggest waste of time and money, because I opened an office in San Francisco, which was just crazy, the most expensive city in the world. Yeah, and we weren't ready. We hadn't built all of our engines yet, so it wasn't a repeatable business.
Cool. So you wouldn't do that again. Oh, I think it's on to Mae now. Mae, you're allowed to answer some questions now.
Okay, so we're running out of time as well, aren't we? So now you are building your second business.
I am.
Hey Savi. Do you want to just do a quick?
I'd love to. So I've gone from the crazy world of B2B into B2C like an absolute loon. And Hey Savi, we describe it as Shazam meets Spotify, but for fashion. So you see something someone's wearing on social media now in real life. You take a picture, you send it to Hey Savi, and Hey Savi shows you shoppable products. So we're not like Google Lens. We do not prioritize paid sponsored ads. We try to find the exact match if it's available. Otherwise, we show you comparables so you can shop the look at your price point.
Love that. I love that. Everyone needs to download it. What has been your biggest mindset shift now of running a second business? Like, what are you bringing into that business?
So I think the first time you do it, you're learning how to build and run a business. So I know that I've kind of got that covered. And this time it's all about product market fit and solving problems for customers and really understanding the customer need. Yeah.
What is product market fit? I feel like everyone hears that and they maybe think they have it.
Yeah, it's when you know that you're solving a real problem that your customers love, need, and want, and you're not just doing it because you think it's a nice thing to have. So they come back to you, you retain them because you're solving that real need.
So it is quite obvious.
Yes.
When you get it.
Yeah. And then you get the virality because then people start recommending and going, oh my God, have you used Hey Savi?
So maybe if you're questioning if you have it, you don't have it.
Yes.
And you raised 2.2 million pre-seed for Hey Savi, which is, I think, one of the biggest amounts for female-founded team as well, which is incredible. How did you do that?
So it's all from angels. Yeah, so it was hard.
Why did just want to say why you took angels?
We
Yeah.
probably will do institutional money at some point, but at this early stage, it's really good to get angels in because but it's basically like crowdfunding. But yeah, it's better to bring the institutional VCs on a later date.
And presumably your mega exit made it quite easy to get in. Was it easy? Because everyone says the first million is the hardest.
I don't think it was easy, but it's definitely much easier. Yeah.
And was that first million the hardest?
I think it's a case of FOMO. Like once you get a few people on board, everyone then wants to come on board. So it does make it easier, and you just got to get those first few people. But because I'd had a big return for my previous business, it did help for sure.
So what would be your advice for, say, anyone here who is looking to raise angel investment? What would be your tips?
Practice your pitch. Get really, really good at answering all the questions and the FAQs, understanding what the need is, have some proof points within what you're building. If you can, having built an MVP or something that's tangible that people can understand, I think that really helps. And it's about networking. It's all about community networking, talking to people that you know. Yeah.
I would say that I would echo that. I think it's networking and also sharing your story. I can't tell you how many female founders have told me they've started sharing their story, and people they used to work with or someone that they once knew got in touch and said they wanted to invest in them. But it's all about networking, isn't it?
It is.
It's also just telling people that you are raising. I think I used to be scared of telling people that I'm looking for investment, and then I just put it out on LinkedIn. And that's how I met Emmie. So me and Emmie met because Emmie's one of my investors, and she didn't even know who I was. She just saw me on LinkedIn.
Had one call and I said, have my money, because she was amazing. I don't even know if I looked at your deck. I still have to think, did I actually look at your deck? I don't know. But anyway, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I actually saw you on LinkedIn. You were really passionate. You were talking about the problem you're solving. And I thought, you got credibility and I love your story. So I think that's such an important thing. So can you talk to us about, well, obviously I know, because I'm an investor in you as well. Hey Savi just launched the UK's first agentic commerce platform with PayPal. So you've partnered with PayPal, which is huge. Yep. You're their biggest partner or something? Yeah.
We're their biggest announcement for AI this year, yeah. Because of our partnership with PayPal, we are the UK's first agentic commerce with native checkout. So everyone's probably thinking, what does that mean? Well, from an agentic commerce perspective, it's the future or where we're going to go with shopping. It basically means that we're going out, we're doing all the searching, we're doing all the hard work for the user. And then thanks to PayPal and our integration with them, with certain retailers, the user then doesn't need to go to the retailer's website. They can check out within Hey Savi. So it's where we're going with commerce and e-commerce. It is the new way. That's why we're their biggest announcement for this year. Yeah.
And how do you actually get your first customers, your first partners? How can people kind of get that early traction?
You mean with PayPal? Yeah. Well, we were very fortunate. They actually came inbound to us. So I got a DM in my LinkedIn, and I took a screenshot and sent it to my co-founder Sarah. And I said, "What do you reckon? This looks a bit dodge." And she went, "I got one too." And I said, "Okay, I will suss it out." And it was genuine. It was their director of agentic commerce from PayPal in the US. And we basically had a conversation, and he was like, we're firm believers that these large LLMs are really, really good, but when it comes to very, very specific verticalized need, like fashion, like we're big believers that you're not going to just use one LLM to do everything. You'll have one for fashion, you'll have one for beauty, you'll have one for home life or well-being. And it will get to learn about you, and it will do that one thing, and it will do it really, really well. And that's what then basically happened. Was
That's amazing. And how do you think they found you? Just through LinkedIn? And
yeah, they were searching for agentic commerce, and like we hadn't even launched by then, so we only launched a couple of weeks ago, and in partnership with them. So yeah, they were just searching and said you were the top ones for the UK.
wow.
Yeah,
And so are you really big on personal branding as a founder? Do you think you need to be putting yourself out there?
100%. Well, queen of it, right here.
Well, I think I'm a big believer in it. So I know I always say, because that's how I found a lot of people I've invested in, and so many of our founders have told us that's how they raised investment, how they've met their business partners, how they got strategic partners. And the other thing is that 80% of young people aged 11 to 18 can't name a female founder. So that's like terrible. So if we are all sharing our stories and telling everyone about what we're building and sharing on socials and hyping each other up, hopefully more young people are going to know about female founders. And that's one of the reasons we're doing this show as well, because we want to start showcasing, more female entrepreneurs. And it's going to be global, and everyone's going to know about female founders, and it's going to be wonderful. But yeah, that's another reason we should all share our stories. I would say like my call to action would be tomorrow, well, probably not tonight because no one will be on LinkedIn at 10 o'clock tonight, but tomorrow morning, just do a post, take a photo and share your story and tell everyone what you're building, because it is so important, and you never know who will send you a little DM.
PayPal.
Big DM.
I don't know if we have enough time. Whoa, we've got less time. Okay. Well, one of my questions before was because you mentioned that you had the 6 months break and you realised that you weren't a stay-at-home mum.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your partner, you said, does quite a lot of the work? How does that work with, like, personally? Do you think you need the other person if you're going to be the one building and growing and scaling and being an entrepreneur? How does that work?
So we had an agreement when I started Phrasee. We ran both my agency, and because he was the creative director of our agency. And so we ran both businesses side by side. And then when I signed eBay with Phrasee, I knew that that was going to be the cash cow. Like, I knew that we could do repeatable. It was monthly recurring revenue. I knew we could stack it from a SaaS perspective. It wasn't service. Service is really hard to scale at that rate, because service, you've got to actually do the work. Like, it's a very different beast as tech. And so at that point, we had sort of a sensible discussion, and we basically said, I can make us the money, I can make us rich from this business. So let's shut the agency down, but you'll need to look after the kids. Yeah, and do everything.
I know, I'm just asking because I'm having my first child. So I'm very curious about how women do it. Or, how do we have a business? How do we raise kids? How do we have a partner? And Emmie has 4 kids, so
You're amazing.
Well, May is always saying, we need to talk about this. We had a lot of chats about it, haven't we, May, how we cope. Anyway, we're going to do some quick fire questions because I think we're coming to the end. And also, it's so hot.
I'm so hot. I'm so sorry.
I don't know if the air conditioning turned off, but we'll get that back on.
Okay. Very quick questions. Best investment you've ever made in business or in yourself?
In myself, believing that I could do it. Like, I think half of the thing is from an entrepreneurial mindset, you've got to have the grit, determination and resilience to just keep on going no matter what.
Love that. And that's our next podcast coming out next week about the entrepreneurial mindset. The book, podcast or person that changed how you think about building a business?
The person, like I mentioned, I've had 2 incredible mentors that have just changed the world for me. So yeah.
Great. One tool or habit you couldn't run your business without?
For me, that's my Monday morning meeting with Sarah at 9:30. We have an hour, and that sets me straight for the whole week.
Fantastic. The moment you nearly gave up, and what stopped you?
This one's a difficult one because I think for me, it was the exit and going through a process. I didn't know how difficult it was to sell a business and I didn't even know that it was called a process. So for me, that bit nearly broke me, and I actually got a bit sick from it. So
I think people underestimate how stressful that is, selling business. Last one, what's the one thing you want every woman in this room to go home and do tonight or tomorrow morning?
eat that frog. Do the one thing that you've been waiting, that you've been putting off. Honestly, you'll feel blooming brilliant afterwards.
Yeah, and then do your LinkedIn post. Right, let's give Vic a massive round of applause.